people want to go to Vegas is because they want to be lawless, have freedom, go crazy, and not be responsible for their actions.
So all of those things don't happen in Japan.
No,
I'm saying.
Remember how we're talking about the immigration lady? It's just it's not gonna be pretty for you if you come in with that attitude. Hey everybody, welcome back to Small Talk Japan. On this show, we talk about all things Japan in English. My name is Mitch, these are my co-hosts.
Natsuki!
And Alex, hello.
Today we're going to talk about some news topics. We've got an interesting show for you guys today, but we're going to have to start off with a sad story. Okay, so our first story today is actually going to be about the Sri Lankan woman who, if you guys are following the news in Japan at all, she was an English teacher here in Japan, and she apparently overstayed her visa a little bit, or whatever happened. The details are kind of cloudy on that. But for whatever reason, she was taken into custody by Japanese immigration, and she later died in Japanese custody. And her family wants to know answers, and so they're basically, have a campaign to get more and more information out of the people who run this facility, because it was all on tape. So apparently what happened was this young lady, I think she was in her 30s, don't quote me on that, but she was a young lady, and she felt ill, and she had 33. And she had stomach problems, and apparently she was just completely denied treatment while in this immigration detention facility, and then subsequently died. And so today's news topic is about how her sisters have come to Japan from Sri Lanka, and that they are protesting. So they're protesting to get their sister, the footage of it released. And the immigration facility, it's like several weeks of footage apparently, where this girl slowly got sick and then died. Instead of releasing all of the footage to her family, they released a highly edited version, like a 2-hour video, and they would only let the two sisters watch it without their lawyer being present, their Japanese lawyer being present. And they're like, no, we want the lawyer to be present, and they refuse to do that, and so they haven't watched the video yet because of that. And it's like these little things like this. First of all, they're obviously looking for justice for their sister, but also they just really want this video to go out, and so the public can see how these people in this detention center treated their sister and why she ultimately ended up dead. And so we're going to talk about that story, some other stories as well today. But first I want to talk to you, Natsuki. You said before on the pre-show that you were very surprised by this.
Yes, I was shocked.
Do you know about this story?
Yeah, it's a big story in Japan, so I kind of knew the story, but I was shocked. This is happening in Japan.
Yeah.
Things like that.
What do you think? Why do you think this facility is not giving them the full video?
Because it has a lot of bad evidence in there, maybe, I guess. Don't you think?
I think that's exactly what it is. Now, I'm American, so I'm not going to talk about immigration facilities. I mean, obviously, that's a huge problem in America, especially on the southern border. But in Japan, especially where I think we don't have an image of this kind of stuff happening here whatsoever. A story like this is kind of shocking. Alex, when you read a story like this, how do you feel?
Well, I think there's always a lack of compassion from Japanese authorities when this kind of case comes around. So it's not the first time.
Yeah.
And, there's been several cases similar to this.
Yeah.
Not always with developing countries as well. There's been cases where an English girl was murdered a couple of years ago. And the family found it very hard to deal with the police in Japan. There was another one where a girl committed suicide recently as well, an English girl.
Okay, so that one was really hard. That was hard to deal with because she's a young girl. I think she's 22 or 3 or something like that. She's in Japan, and she had indicated that her family. This is during the pandemic, right? I think it was during the pandemic. She indicated to her family that she hadn't been feeling well. I mean, she had some stress or something like that at work, and then she went up missing. And so the family calls the police here in Japan. I think it was in Tokyo or something like that.
In Tokyo, right?
Maybe Tokyo. And then so the family phones up the police looking for answers. But the police, citing privacy or some bullshit, tell the parents basically, we're not going to tell you anything.
I mean, just this lack of compassion, really. It's kind of disheartening. I mean, Japan's a very homogeneous nation. It's 99%, 98% Japanese. There isn't a lot of immigration. The authorities are generally not necessarily biased towards the Japanese side, but mainly concerned with Japanese people.
Yeah.
So when something like this happens, above lack of communication, there's also a lack of empathy. And it's always heartbreaking to see this kind of thing.
It's not every case every time, but when it does happen, it's like, oh, this again is kind of the reaction, right?
Yeah, well, it's typical bureaucracy, lack of communication and, lack of feeling and human empathy towards other people, really.
And lack of responsibility. Everybody just goes, oh, we don't want to be responsible for this.
Yeah,
We're not touching this.
We don't
right?
want to get blamed, right? They don't want to get blamed for it. So
especially when it's international too, because then it's like the whole world is watching them. It's even more reason for them to just go away, don't talk to us.
See, the problem there is, though, that then makes Japanese people's image even worse.
Yeah.
Because it shows that you don't give a shit about anybody else. It's a bad way to deal with people. Now, countries all across the world are dealing with immigration in different ways, most of it in a bad way.
Yeah, I agree
Most
with you.
countries are doing a very bad job of it.
I mean, Brexit, one of the big reasons why your home country, Brexit, happened was because of immigration, right? Free roaming of people within Europe was kind of something that they didn't enjoy.
Well, what happens is people come across continental Europe, get all the way to France, and, aiming to get to the UK because they've got like NHS and benefits and things like that. And France doesn't necessarily stop them leaving their country.
Because they're like, oh, it's now the UK's problem.
Oh, yeah, go away.
Well, because they come in mostly through like Rome and through Italy and stuff like that on the Mediterranean Sea, coming up across from Africa and things like that,
And then up to the Channel, it's not a far hop to the UK.
Yeah.
So they kind of filter across those borders and try and get into the UK. And France don't give a shit, really, if they leave.
Yeah.
It's like not our problem anymore.
Neither do the coastal countries down in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
They're like, go for it. Because the two targets are the UK and Germany, right?
Yeah.
Where everybody wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, I mean, there's big problems there as well with compassion and should you let, little kids are coming with these people, what are you going to do with them? You can't just let them drown in the sea.
Yeah.
But, Japan's got very low immigration. It doesn't accept a lot of immigrants. It would be a good idea to get the ones that do come here, some decent care. And that would be good.
Especially when this is, we're not even talking about like a laborer immigrant here. We're talking about an educated
skilled person, right?
But do you think it could happen among American people or English people?
Absolutely. If you look at what's happening in the southern border of the United States, got a lot of problems, and it just comes down to resources and the amount of people that are trying to come up at the same time. And as Alex was talking about, there is a lack of empathy from a lot of, especially southern border state Americans, who are like, don't bring your problems from your part of the world to our country. So that is a thing.
I think, Natsuki, you meant like is this right? If
right.
Like it was a white person in Japan, not someone from Sri Lanka, but from somebody from like the US or the UK.
Oh, you mean like a white person in immigration here?
Yeah. Do you think they would have?
If she was an American person, an English person, do you think people?
I don't think it would have happened if it was an American or English, because those two specific countries can pressure the Japanese government to do what they want.
Yeah.
But if it was just like a white person from, let's say, Croatia or the Ukraine, probably wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I don't think it's about being white. I think it's about your home country. How much power do they have?
Yeah, that's what the people in Japan was talking about. Because she's from Sri Lanka, she had been, abused from the people there.
Yeah.
If that's true, that's a big problem.
Well, there is kind of a uekaremesen, how do you say it? It's like a condescension from some Japanese people to other Asian countries that are, especially the the lower Eastern, Asia, Southeast Asia, stuff like that. There is a condescension there.
But the Sri Lankan government probably should have done more to help. If they knew about her situation.
Yeah.
To try and deal with the Japanese authorities to get her released or something like that. If that doesn't happen, then the Japanese authorities, they've got to take responsibility for this person. And in Japan, I don't think they want to.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's not our problem. You came here, you didn't have a visa. It's your fault, and that's kind of cold-hearted, really. What I mean?
I mean, it's not unheard of in our countries, but I think that there is a little bit more of it's probably more in your country, in European countries, when somebody does come in, they give them temporary status, they give them access to healthcare and things like that. And that doesn't really happen here. If you're a illegal immigrant here, it's like go straight to jail or wait at home until we tell you what to do, kind of thing.
But a lot of people in the UK, of a certain age group, let's say, agree with that as well, though, because otherwise people come and take advantage. So come in free healthcare. Somebody's got to pay for all that.
Yeah.
And, you know, if people aren't stopping coming and you can't turn them away in the North Sea because they'll drown, what are you going to do? You know?
Fortunately, since this is an island nation, there's less of that, you know, wet foot, dry foot
Yeah.
immigration, you know, where when the Cubans would come in boats from Cuba to Florida, if they're still on the boat, you got to send them back.
Yeah.
But if they touch land, then they're refugees.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the wet foot, dry foot policy.
I would not want to come to Japan by sea. You know what I mean? That is just so dangerous. Why would you want to do that?
Well, most illegal immigration in the United States actually happen by airplane anyway.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there are some that obviously come up through the south and through over the border, but the vast majority of illegal immigration in the United States, people come in legally with a travel visa and just overstay. And I think it's the same thing in Japan.
Yeah.
Overstaying your visa. But yeah.
Well, it's a sad case, and you know, I hope the family gets some kind of justice out of it. You know, I think they should give them the full video. Why not? Full disclosure is the best way to go.
It really is.
You know, if something's been done wrong, then at least you can fix it, or at least work towards fixing it, because you're never going to bring that person back. So, you know, it's a sad story, but
I think that probably what the public really wants on this, especially the international community, is not just like first of all, they need to admit responsibility, which I don't think Japanese governmental people are very, very good at not admitting responsibility. So there's two levels, right? There's like they just stonewall forever, and then when they get so much pressure, then some old guy comes out in front of the camera and bows, you know, maybe cries or something like that. But it really needs to be pushed to that point until they apologize. So in this case, they should have just taken responsibility. Like, she died in our care. We're going to look into it. We're going to investigate ourselves in the situation. We're going to communicate with the family, and we're going to fix whatever policies we had that allowed this to happen.
I think MacArthur said about Japan in 1945 or something like that. He said the Japanese think apologizing is enough. Was his kind of phrase that he said. You think you can just say sorry and everything's okay. And it doesn't work like that, you know.
There needs to be real change there.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, and this is what I'm going to do to fix it.
Right. This is a lesson I've learned.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a little bit puritanical, I think. That comes from if you have a Christian background, like mistakes are like something that you, like this is going to go down a completely different, like we've already talked about this before, but like basically, you know, from a Christian background, if you apologize, you have to accept the guilt, apologize to your maker, and then change that thing. Whereas I think that a lot of times apologies in Japan are just to keep the harmony. Like I said, I'm sorry. Let's go back to harmonious life. You know, so it's a little different philosophy. But in this case with this woman, it is tragic, and I hope that the people at the facility let the family see the full video and let the lawyer there, because the reason why they want to have the Japanese lawyer there is exactly what you were just talking about, Alex. Is they want a Japanese person to be able to go out in front of the cameras and speak native Japanese and say, this is what I saw in that video. It was awful. And if they can do that, then it'll have an impact. But if they just leave it to the family, the ladies are going to come out and they're going to speak their native language. They're going to translate it to whatever the hell they want to translate it into Japanese. It's not going to have an impact.
Sounds like after World War II.
Right. So they need to let the lawyer in, is what I think. Okay, I don't want to stay the entire time today on that one topic because it is kind of a dark topic. But today, unfortunately, today's news is not necessarily all that positive. Our next story today is about how Toyota is projecting that in, I think it's fiscal year 2021, so this year, their global output their projected global output was cut by 300,000 units. So Toyota will be producing far less vehicles this year than they have in past years. And the reason for that is because of, and it's affecting everything, Chipgeddon.
Chipgeddon, first time to hear.
If you guys don't know what Chipgeddon is, basically the semiconductors, the company that makes tiny little, like, CPU chips, microchips. There's basically one company in the whole world that does it. It's in Taiwan. And due to the reasons of shortages of supplies due to COVID, and then also I think they had a fire in their factory or something like that was happening. Due to various reasons, the global supply of microchips have dwindled. And you can see this when you try to build a gaming rig. I actually criticized Alex end of last year.
Yeah,
year. You're building a gaming computer. And I was like, why? You could wait a couple months. The price is going to come way down. Little did we know they would go 4 times up.
Yeah. So good timing, me. Well done.
So GPU, CPUs, anything that has a chip in it right now, supplies are very limited, and people scalping and trying to, the resellers, all of that, they're just price gouging. But it's also affecting things that you wouldn't even think about, like, for example, cars have
Yeah.
a lot of CPUs in them, a lot of
Yeah.
chips in them.
Mm-hmm.
Refrigerators, washing machines, everything's smart now. It's all Internet of Things now. So anything that has a chip in it is basically the production is being limited. You can even see this with Tesla. They're still manufacturing their cars, but they're manufacturing them half built with a bunch of features not installed
Oh, really?
and telling them that we'll install these later when we get chips.
Right. Okay.
So it's interesting. But so what do you guys, Natsuki, first of all, can I ask you, you drive a car. What kind of car do you drive?
Nissan.
Nissan. Have you ever had a Toyota before?
No,
Why did you choose a Nissan?
because one of my good friends is working for Nissan. That's the only
Best reason. Best reason.
Did you get a discount?
I guess so. Yeah, just a little bit.
Alex, what you drive a Subaru, right?
Yeah, I drove a Subaru. What is it? Impreza
Why?
G4.
Because he thought it was cool, but he doesn't like it now.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit. It's not a bad car, but it's like, it's been recalled a lot. Number one.
How many times has your car been recalled?
Fucking 4 times or something. Ridiculous. It's never broken down on me or anything like that. But yeah, now Subaru feels a bit fanboy like. You know what I mean?
Boy, like.
It's like the kind of person who would like really get excited about dials and stuff in the car, and like.
One thing I noticed about your car is always got like a 3D like model of your car on a screen.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the fuck. What is that for?
Nothing. It's like basically the kind of car that somebody who likes building their own PC might buy, because it's got lots of little dials and things like that and lights and stuff.
You can tweak.
Yeah, but like now I want something a bit more kind of
Reliable.
not reliable, like kind of a bit more simple and a bit more classy.
Please don't buy a Crown.
No, I'm not going to buy a Crown. God, no.
For you guys that don't know, the uninitiated, the Toyota Crown is like the de facto like rich, balding, fat man car.
Yeah.
It's like if you're of any stature in this country, you buy a white Toyota Crown. It's also the same car that the police use.
Right.
So look, to me, like when all these like high ranking Japanese guys are like, oh, check out my Crown. I'm like, you're driving a cop car, dude. Like, what's wrong with you?
And it's got like lace things on the back headrests and stuff like that, right? You know what I mean?
And or they have like the plastic covering, the clear plastic covering on them.
Yeah.
And then the lace curtains in the back windows.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so bad.
Hey, I have a question. Is this Chipageddon thing only affect on Toyota?
No, it's all car makers. But Toyota is the global leader in car building.
Oh, okay.
So the global leader, which is funny because none of us own a Toyota. I don't like Toyotas.
Why?
The acceleration and steering on Toyotas is crap. I like Nissans, actually. Nissan's my favorite Japanese car by far. I had a Nissan before. It was a straight 6 turbo that I used to haul ass to the countryside of Japan with. Sold that to Dan.
Really?
Yeah, and he destroyed it.
I heard a lot of Japanese company presidents are buying, Lexus instead of Toyota's, what was the car that you just mentioned?
Toyota Crown.
Crown, yeah.
So funny story about Lexus. We were talking about this in the car the other day. Lexus it stands for Luxury Export US.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So Toyota was making all sorts of different levels of cars in Japan, like high luxury cars all the way down to simple family cars. In the United States, Toyota was seen as a cheap brand. This is years and years ago. So it was like a budget Japanese car. And most Japanese cars at that time, I think it's like 1980s or something like that, were just kind of seen as rinky-dinky, simple, and kind of crappy. Obviously, that's not the situation now. But anyway, in order to sell more luxury cars in the United States, they created this brand called Lexus, Luxury Export US, and started selling Toyotas rebranded as Lexus in the United States. Then the Japanese people, because God bless them, they were like, they're like, oh my God, I want to have a Lexus too. Why do the Americans only get the Lexus? We want a Lexus even though they had Lexus here. They're just called Toyotas. Exact same cars, remember? So they're like, we want Lexus too. So Toyota was like, well, let's sell Lexus in Japan. So they brought it back here. So now they're here too.
What are the popular cars among American rich people?
SUVs and Tesla now. Tesla for sure.
There's like weird trends, like for example, Toyota Prius at one point was like a status car.
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, because it was like eco-friendly. But
now it's a Land Rover or Jaguar Land Rover.
Benz. No.
Benz is like a standard, right? Mercedes-Benz. Lexus.
I mean, it depends how rich you're talking. If you're talking really rich, I mean, you're going to be looking at like Lamborghinis and crazy high-end cars, Bugattis or whatever.
Some people have multiple cars, right? When they're rich. But right now, I think the hot car that everybody talks about is Tesla. All electric.
From Korea?
No, from
Tesla.
America.
Okay, sorry.
It's the only new American car company that has been established, I think, in the last 50 years or 30 years or something like that.
Oh, Tesla
Yeah.
is American.
Yeah, made by the SpaceX guy Elon Musk. It's a fully electric vehicle, and it goes 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds. I think Plaid does. Check out Model S Plaid 0 to 60. It's ludicrous, and in fact, that's the name of the package that you buy to unlock the highest speed that you can get out of that car. It's called the ludicrous speed package.
That's from what's it called, isn't it? Spaceballs.
Yeah, it's from Spaceballs,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
it goes back to his SpaceX and stuff like that. What is it?
1.98.
Fuck me, are you serious?
That's fast, isn't it?
Well, that's the 2022 Tesla model.
Is that Plaid?
Model S Plaid
Yeah,
for the first test of it, I guess. I guess it's a new one.
under 2 seconds. That's insane.
I did some event at Roppongi Hills or something like that. I can't remember what it was. There was like a Tesla event there. So I went along to have a look. 'Cause
Wow.
I was in Tokyo.
Mm.
So I got in all the cars and had a little go, whatever. And they signed me up to the mailing list. So they still think I'm going to buy one.
You should buy one
Yeah.
and let me drive it.
Maybe that's my next car then.
How much is it?
I can't remember now. Quite expensive.
It depends on the model. Like
Yeah.
they can be kind of reasonable about $40,000.
Mm.
But the Plaid one I think is like you can get it up to like $100,000. So that's like East Sam.
Yeah.
But it's funny because they basically make all the cars almost exactly the same, and they have DLC download content.
Right.
So you pay more money and unlock features
Unlock it,
to your
right.
car. It's so funny.
I mean, they're cool inside, but to me, the outside's a bit boring. I don't know. I've never really felt the design of the cars is that cool. But
Common criticism of Tesla is they're kind of the design elements are a little boring, and then also the interiors are simple.
but I do like the giant, touch screen and things like that.
That's just a giant
cool.
computer.
Yeah.
Do you see Tesla in Japan too?
One of my clients has 2 Teslas.
Oh, really?
And I think he has the only 2 Teslas here.
Yeah, I have no idea what it looks like.
It's a simple car that goes really fast and it doesn't make any sound.
Okay.
It's got a giant touch panel on the dashboard.
Mm.
You should get the Cybertruck when it comes out.
Yeah, that might be a fun thing
Drive
to drive
around
around
the,
here.
the tiny little streets of Japan with a Cybertruck.
Just don't throw a steel ball at my window.
Or if you do, say holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
Wow, it looks like spaceship.
Yeah, this is a Cybertruck. They haven't made it yet. They've only done like pre-sales, but yeah.
How much are they going for, I wonder?
It says the base price for a single motor rear wheel drive Tesla Cybertruck is about $40,000.
So what's the souped up one? Like 60, 70?
69.
Yeah, 70. That's the one you want to wait for. Everybody will look at you and be like, what's wrong with you? And do you have weapons? It just looks like it's ready for battle.
It does look like a tank.
It looks like a PlayStation 1 vehicle.
Like low quality,
Yeah.
low resolution. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Let's get back to Japan, guys. Next story today is about Yokohama. Actually, I'm looking forward to talking to Alex about this. So Yokohama. So Japan, the government in 2018 were like, we want to make casinos in Japan because that's what Japan needs, not other things. Casinos. Okay. So this brilliant plan was to copy Macau and Korea. South Korea has casinos, but only foreign people can go to them. It's actually quite clever. Okay, so the South Korean model is they don't want the casinos to be a blight or a problem for their population, but they want foreign people to come in and spend money on the casino so they get money. So they made it so Korean people can work at these casinos, but they can't play the games. Only foreign people can. And it works. It works. I think Macau might be the same way. I'm not sure. But it's basically they're all trying to make little Las Vegases, which is not good. Especially in Japan. But anyway, so they're scouting for 4 locations to make a casino, and one of those locations was Yokohama. And there was a mayor race. How do you say a mayor race?
Mayoral election.
Mayoral
election.
And the previous mayor, who was all in favor of having a casino in Yokohama, again because that's what Yokohama needs, was ousted by the new candidate, and so the plans for the casino have been axed in Yokohama. Now, Alex, you actually have kind of a personal story with this program.
Yes, I do, but I don't know how much I can say on here.
Well, just give an overview of what's going on with this.
Well, basically, there are several regions around Japan who've kind of put their hand up to say, we'll be happy to have an IR, an integrated resort, basically a casino area built, in our prefecture or our city or whatever. and they've got some land ready, and they're teaming up with developers overseas, mainly in the US, but also like China,
Dubai, probably.
Dubai, Australia, to perhaps build casinos. Now the problem here is that like Mitch said, you can't just make Las Vegas. It doesn't work like that.
Especially not in Japan.
And then, where do you gamble in the world, right? You've got Vegas, you've got Monaco,
Macau.
Macau.
I think Vegas and Macau are your two big ones. You got Atlantic City, which...
And then that's it, isn't it? I can't think of any
You got
more.
the oceans.
I mean, you can go in London and stuff like that to the casino, whatever, if you want, but it's not like a famous gambling destination.
Mm.
And then again, you got the casinos on the cruise ships and the oceans because it's international law.
True, yeah. So what's Japan got to offer in the front of casinos? That's what I want to know.
The reason why Vegas works is because everybody knows this, and we've talked about this before, the most successful campaign for any region in the entire world is Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah.
That happened in the early 90s, and people today still say that we're going to Vegas because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? It's just the most successful campaign ever. Because the reason the people want to go to Vegas is because they want to be lawless, have freedom, go crazy, and not be responsible for their actions.
So all of those things don't happen in Japan. So I'm saying.
Remember how we're talking about the immigration lady? It's just not going to be pretty for you if you come here with that attitude.
Hey,
So it's
when people start gambling in Las Vegas,
That's how it started. Las Vegas was initially, oh God, I don't want to talk about this, but it used to be a Mormon settlement. There was Mormons there. And then they went to Salt Lake City, and then the mob came in because there was a little water hole that you could get water. It's like a little place in the desert. Then the mob came in the 30s. I don't remember. And then they made a couple casino hotels because there was no police out there. It was the Wild West, cowboys. And then people would come to the resorts, the casinos, and the mob ran Las Vegas until, recently.
so maybe after 1930s or 40s.
Before the war. Before the war.
Okay. Mm.
And
Why recently?
Monaco is similar to that, really. It's just like a state between France and Italy, and it's run by a private principality. And basically all their money comes from gambling,
yeah.
Mm.
I mean, you do get a lot of money from gambling. We don't have state tax in
That's
Nevada
true.
because
Yeah.
we don't need it.
Well, you can make the cash. And, China's right next to Japan as well.
Yeah.
So you've got this massive market of people who love gambling.
Yeah, dude, that's why Macau is such a thing. Is they go
Yeah.
there, they play mahjong while smoking a lot.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I mean, just the real thing is, do you want those people to come to Japan? Is that where you want to get your revenue from? And I think a lot of people in Yokohama think, no, that's not what we want because we've had like over tourism already.
That's a good word for that, over tourism. Yeah.
People coming in and destroying the place. Like,
Kyoto was hell to go to. Now it's the pandemic. It's the best time to go to Kyoto.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic, man, I'd go to Kinkakuji. What's that in English? The Golden Pavilion.
Yeah.
And if you fucking wrestle your way to the front of the crowd to get right in front of the barrier and take a photo of it, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But if you turn that camera around and take another, it's like a zombie apocalypse behind you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
many people.
I mean, it'd be like selfie stick to the eye or, people. Why do people bring the luggage with them to these places, right?
That's also very strange.
There's always a Chinese tourist with like 2 suitcases.
Yeah, I wonder why. There are not enough
Is it to
local-
buy stuff and put it in there, I think?
No
Because they
idea.
buy a lot of stuff when they're here.
Maybe they go there after they checked out the hotels.
Oh, maybe.
I don't get it, man. But, I think people in Yokohama have seen that and think, like, I don't want that on my doorstep, even if it does make money.
It doesn't really make money. Because over tourism, when they come, they don't have a chance to sit down and actually buy things or enjoy the place, right? So that, you might get ticket sales.
So, I mean, like the basic problem with huge numbers of tourists coming in is that they don't really buy anything.
Yeah.
So if you get 200 Chinese tourists coming on, a couple of buses, they might buy a pet bottle from a bottle of water or something, or
From the
Coke
vending
or
machine.
From the vending machine. That's 200 yen revenue.
Yeah, good job, guys.
That's it.
And
That's
then-
all you're going to get.
And then
Yeah.
the big roller customers aren't going to come to your location because there's too many people there. So
Yeah. So, but I think the theory with the casinos is that you can basically control the amount of people that come, and you can also get them to spend lots of money. But the overspill from that is that they're also going to go to other places as well. And the Chinese people that come on, for example, cruises, stay on the boat and just gamble. They don't
Yeah.
even get off the boat sometimes.
Right.
Well, that's what the idea behind the casinos here is they want them to come off the boat and sit down and gamble.
Spend the money in Japan, right?
I don't
So
know.
if you were a Yokohama citizen, you say no to this idea?
I would say no because
Oh.
I don't think it's a good idea. If you're going to do something cool with it, if you're going to say like we're going to make it like those old samurai movies where they're stripped down to the waist and they've all got tattoos and they're playing that dice game, gambling with it. If you made it something like that, maybe it would be interesting. But just saying we want to copy casinos from other countries
Mm-hmm.
is just boring as shit. I just don't
What
get
they
it.
should do is what you had it right there. They should make these casinos as little bubbles that cruise ships can come to.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Mhm.
It's like a port of call. The cruise ship comes in, injects this tourist, they gamble and they do all the things in a little bubble, get back on their ship and go home.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Carnival Cruise does with a lot of like locations, like port of calls that they do. Like they'll buy a Bohemian island,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just for their customers.
Mm-mm.
And that way, not only do they don't have to worry about the local authorities, like squeezing their customers for cash or arresting them or whatever, they also don't have to worry about their customers getting lost
Yeah.
or all the other problems that come with like injecting 5,000 people into a little area and then trying to get them back on the boat.
Yeah.
But that's what they should do. Just like port of calls where everything's controlled.
That's
think-
a good idea.
We're probably going to start seeing more of that now, and
Mm.
people moving away from traditional cities and things like that. But those areas have to be made in uninhabited places. It's got to be friendly to the environment as well.
That's the thing right now in Japan that's not happening.
it's not
because
gonna
everything's
work.
a UNESCO World Heritage Site now.
Yeah, and there's no space. Where are
Yeah.
you going to send them?
Well, they could just dump more trash in the ocean and make reclaimed land.
Well, if they're going to go ahead with building these casinos, it needs to be tightly regulated for a start. So, these cruise ships need to come into one location, drop people off. They can spend money in that location and hopefully not spill out into neighboring areas. And then you're going to see some economic benefit. You're going to see a destination for these large groups of tourists coming
Which
in.
we really don't want those large groups to come into the actual cities and
Not
towns.
to the cities now because it's just too much nuisance.
Yeah.
And, they don't spend any money anyway. So it's not benefit to anybody.
It's not a good. I mean, we could talk about the individuals and all that, but as an economic business model, it doesn't make sense. It shouldn't do it.
I mean, historically, Japan's been obsessed with number of visitors over everything.
Well, because the Komuin, what do you call it, public servants go, oh, we increased tourism by 15 million people this month, and you're
Yeah.
like, well,
How much did your revenue go up?
they don't know.
0. It went down.
Wrong KPI, guys.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, let's go to our. Sorry, did you?
No, that's it. That's it, man. So just maybe.
Let's go to the next story today. It's actually probably gonna be our last story today. It's gonna be Natsuki picked this story actually. Can you not this one, the other one, the actress lady, this one. Can you tell us what the story is about?
Okay, have you ever heard the word "jōkyū kokumin"? Japanese word?
Jōkyū
Kokumin.
kokumin. I know kind of what each part of that word means, but what does it mean?
Yeah, it means privileged people,
Oh, so like me and Alex.
Yeah.
including me.
Maybe.
But anyway, I was researching about the news, and then one of the most famous Japanese actress
Yeah.
got coronavirus,
Yeah.
COVID-19, and then she got hospitalized right after she got, sick. And
Right.
then people were talking shit about her, say like she's Jōkyū kokumin. That's
She's privileged.
she's privileged. That's
Right.
how she got,
I mean, I'm
being
looking
the-
at her picture, Natsuki. She is hot.
Yeah, she
I'm not
is.
gonna lie, she's pretty hot.
Yeah, she's 32 or 3.
So she's in my age range.
So that's probably all right then. Yeah.
Is she single?
Single.
I don't disagree with this news.
So Jōkyū kokumin is one of the, new word for me. It was actually happened 2019
Yeah.
when the, news happened. Can you explain about the car accident for me?
Okay, so there was this he was a retired guy who was in his 80s or something, old guy who's driving, mistook the brake for the gas, ran over a mother and her kid or 2 kids.
Yeah, no, one kid.
One kid.
Mhm.
Killed them both. And then like years of court battles because the guy who did this, because the father who was at work at the time wanted this guy to go to jail, obviously, because he shouldn't be driving. He was told he was too old to drive and he was being irresponsible. But that old guy was in a former job. What was his job before? It was like,
He was an elite.
yeah, some elite guy, some Ed-Eye guy. So he was like powerful. And so like it was like national news, like what's going to happen to this guy? Is he actually going to get in trouble? And I forgot what happened to him. It's like he was sentenced. He finally got sentenced like years later. And it was like a slap on the wrist. Like he murdered 2 people, right? And he got, what was his sentence? It was like 5 years.
As a
Which-
jail.
Which isn't even, it's not even like old people jail in Japan is like retirement home. Like he's going to like hang out in retirement home.
Yeah, the problem was about same time, 80-something years old guy did the same kind of accident,
Yeah.
but he got arrested right after he caused the accident.
Right.
But this guy didn't get arrested.
For like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And finally.
That's how people say because he is Jokyu Kokumin.
So basically, like two systems, right? The privileged and the unprivileged. And so, I don't know. Like, he's not really that cute, and he's not a woman. So I'm kind of. I'm just. I'm kidding, guys. I'm
She
joking.
turned down the vaccine, though, didn't she? While she
No,
was.
she didn't.
No, she did. She did. She was gonna get it, but she delayed it.
Right.
Because she of a filming schedule or something like
Right,
that.
right.
And then you get sick, and it's like priority getting into hospital. But I mean, like, come on, this happens everywhere.
Yeah, this happens everywhere.
I mean, especially in Japan. Like, I've seen it more in Japan than I have in the UK. Like, people in privileged positions getting best treatment. Happens all the time.
There's nothing I can say. The American system is literally like, how much money and
That's
fame
what
do
it
you
is.
have? It's
Yeah.
exactly how it's
Yeah.
designed.
Yeah.
Because right now, a lot of Japanese people can't go to the hospital, even though they had a.
Because it's full.
Yeah.
It's full.
And they were like, oh yes, beautiful actress lady, right this way. Cadillac treatment all the way.
It's the myth that Japan's a middle class society.
We
you know.
keep going back to this, but
It's true. It's not.
it is more than other places, I think.
I don't believe so. No, I don't think so at all. It's hidden away where you can't see it. People are enjoying themselves a lot more than you would imagine.
How about this? I would say that it is a middle class society, but if you consider the debt to GDP ratio of like Japan versus France, or like the other European countries that have like super crazy benefits for living there, it's kind of out of whack.
Yeah.
For the amount of money that we spend on stuff in this country, it could do better.
Well, that's true. Yeah. No, it's bizarre because there are people with huge funds. There's people with a lot of money, and there are projects that use a lot of money as well, even though the government's in massive debt. But they don't even fund their education system properly.
What are you talking about? Having kids like run like this, like holding towels on like 300-year-old wooden floors to clean it? That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And no internet at most schools? That's perfectly
Don't need
fine.
the internet.
You don't
No.
need that.
I mean, I saw one school where the kids would clean the floor with their bare hands. They would just press the hands on the floor and the dirt would stick to them. And they would go to the sink and wash it off. I'm not joking.
That builds character. What are you talking about?
real thing.
How do you think you raise a society of samurai like that?
Yeah. So that was just weird. But anyway, yeah. So, like, privilege exists. What can you do about it?
As an American, I see this as a normalcy. I mean, Natsuki, when you see this kind of story, how do you feel? Do you feel like, of course, it's
Yeah,
like
of
that?
course.
Right?
Of course.
Is she going to a private hospital though, or something like that? Like in America, they all go to Cedar Sinai or something like that,
Or they just call those people to come to their giant mansion in Beverly Hills.
But it was funny because this was the #1 access news this week.
Ah.
yeah. Well, nobody likes privilege when it's rubbed in your face. If she would have been quiet about it, it would have been fine.
Well, I can't imagine like, I don't know, like give me a famous American person like a Bruno Mars coming down with like COVID and then him going like a normal schmuck to a hospital
I know,
and
queuing up,
waiting like
Yeah.
everybody else
Not
to
gonna
get in. And then like being denied treatment and dying.
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening, guys.
That's funny. I am imagination in my mind now.
I just can't see that happening. So I just look at the story and I'm like, I don't get why it's a story.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys are just noticing that this happens.
Maybe people are jealous.
Maybe they're jealous.
Have you
yeah.
not noticed there's like 3 different queues at the airport for like different
Japanese people.
status?
What is it? It's Japanese people, something visa holders, and then everybody else or something. I forgot what it was.
I'm talking about first class
Oh,
business and then
everybody else.
peons.
Right,
you know,
right.
However it works.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I don't know why this is becoming such a big news.
Well, I mean, to be fair, guys, there was a news on TikTok the other day. I love TikTok news, by the way. It's so much because it's real news stations that put news on TikTok. They're like the most salacious stories. But anyway, there was this old man who was dying of diabetes, something to do with diabetes. It wasn't even COVID. And the doctor came and were like, we need to put you in the hospital, but there's no hospitals that can take you right now because this is in Tokyo area because they're all full from COVID. Osaka area, whatever, one of the big areas. And like they had it all on video where they just like the doctor keeps explaining to the family there's no place that we could admit him while he's slowly dying. And at the end of it, the guy dies.
That's fucked.
So if you look at that and then you see Pretty Girl here who gets in before everybody else for her little coffee snifflies. Yeah.
Well, if that's a public health system and it's something that is, evenly spread across the population, she's not paying any more money to get in there, then that is a salacious story. Because, she's used privilege where she's not paid for it.
Yeah.
part of being a celebrity is that you get, much greater financial rewards than other people do.
So you have to pay that in taxes.
So you've got
and
to pay it
everything.
back, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't pay it, you don't get the treatment.
Why are you being so rational about this?
Because that's my job. Today I've decided to be serious instead of, just
Getting yourself in trouble.
getting myself in trouble saying whatever I like.
All right, guys, we're out of time for today. But that's been our show. We're going to cover more and more news topics as we go forward because I think that a lot of you guys like to talk, like it when we talk about the news. So we'll include much more of that going forward. If you guys like today's show, give us a comment, hit that like button, subscribe. Please subscribe. We love it when you guys subscribe. It helps us. It supports us in many, many ways, unseen ways. It supports us. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Any last words on today's news stories, Natsuki?
I want to be privileged.
Privileged person.
Can you say that again?
Privileged person.
Privileged person.
If you can say it, you can be it. That's my theory.
Privileged.
Nah, not yet.
Alex, any last words for today?
Yeah, I think we should, mix the hospital and casino facilities together. And
Oh,
So you go there, it's like you need cancer treatment. It's like, roll the dice.
yeah.
Not today,
So
guys.
not today, man. Sorry about that.
a good idea.
Yeah, it's fair then,
Yeah.
right? Do Janken. Just do Janken in Japan, right?
There's a lot of medical tourism from places like Russia and stuff like that to Japan. So that could be
are,
a
yeah.
thing. It could be a thing.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's been our show today. See you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.